There's really no reason to be alarmed.
Banks are broken, everything's broken.
There is no happy ending.
There's a potential butterfly effect here.
And there's nothing you can do.
Once you can break 21, you can break everything.
Is Bitcoin quantum ready, or is quantum just more Bitcoin FUD? This is one of the most controversial things that I see over the next 10 years, and it could lead to one of Bitcoin's most heated internal battles. I've explained what the solutions are, and I've also explained what the problems are. Now I've got the experts on both sides arguing for and against quantum. This is a spicy episode, so buckle up. This podcast is part 3 in a 4-part series on quantum computers from us at Blockspace. If you like the podcast, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit that notification and sub button. The Blockspace podcast is brought to you by CleanSpark, America's Bitcoin miner. Let's get into it. So there's a meme in Bitcoin circles, and it goes like this. A quantum computer can't factor 21. This might sound like a joke, but it's actually a serious technical argument. In fact, it's a pretty strong case on why quantum alarmism might be overblown. Brandon Black is a Bitcoin developer who goes by Reardon Code. He's been working on Covenant proposals and Bitcoin script upgrades. He thinks the quantum panic is, at best, probably premature.
So when we talk about the factor 21 meme, we're saying 21 is essentially a 4-bit number. And we have yet to see a quantum computer that can factor different 4-bit numbers without aggressive hard coding and post-processing. So without some evidence that we can factor even small numbers reliably on a quantum computer, it's just very hard to be alarmed about the state of quantum computing.
21 is a 4-bit number. A 256-bit number, which Bitcoin would require, is astronomically harder. And right now, quantum computers can't even reliably do the easy thing. Alex Pruden is CEO of a Bitcoin startup called Project 11. They are building post-quantum migration tools for Bitcoin. Before Project 11, he was at A16Z, and before A16Z, he was a Green Beret, so he probably doesn't panic easily. Alex thinks skeptics are dangerously wrong.
Look, quantum computers today can't factor 21. But I don't think, progress, we should not monitor progress by a quantum computer just factored 21. The reason is, and by the way, there's a great blog post by Craig Gidney, who's the kind of leading cryptanalyst at Google, who recently authored a paper last year that reduced the number of physical qubits required to break something like RSA by a factor of 20. His whole take is, once you can break 21, you can break everything.
That's worth pausing on. He's saying that the argument isn't necessarily that factoring 21 is easy and factoring 256 is hard. It's actually that the barrier for the two is probably roughly the same. And that's because error correction isn't good enough yet. We'll come back to error correction. So Alex isn't saying that it's a gradual escalation. He says it's something that could happen all at once, something we don't have time to prepare for. Alex's argument is that we don't really necessarily expect to see a computer that can factor 21 because that's not really that useful or profitable. And it's very expensive to do all the research and work to build a theoretically cryptographically relevant quantum computer. So we might not even expect to see a computer that can factor 21 before we can see one that can actually break Bitcoin.
I am therefore only going to build the thing if it is useful. Right? And so that's why I think, again, going back to the factoring 21 thing, it's a total red herring. You're just not, there's not gonna be some kind of lead time where quantum computers factor some kind of 2 to the 64-bit number. The next quantum computer, it could very well be the one that actually is built and produced that you can interact with, may very well be the one that is cryptographically relevant. Because to do otherwise at this point, what would be the financial upside from whoever is spending the money to build this thing?
It's a very compelling game theoretical scenario, and it makes a lot of sense. The skeptics have a lot of inertia on their side. They really want more material proof. And frankly, and I'll get a lot of flack for this, there's a lot of venture capital out there. There's a lot of money. Tech stocks are ripping. AI is the hot thing. Quantum is also catching a bid. There's a lot of financial incentive to push the quantum narrative right now. So back to Brandon, he says we can't be too hasty like this. This could result in bad changes to Bitcoin, even if they were made with good intentions.
If Bitcoin was to adopt a post-quantum signing algorithm such as Sphinx or Sphinx Plus or SLH-DSA today, we would either have to accept much larger blocks or accept much lower transaction throughput. We'd have to give up on silent payments, on PayJoin, on Frost, on Musig, basically all of the things that are being developed to make Bitcoin great in the future are built on the foundation of elliptic curve cryptography.
That's a long list of things that Bitcoin could lose. Silent payments give you better privacy. Musig and Frost let people share control of funds securely. Those things rely on the same math that a quantum solution might break. And this doesn't get into which post-quantum algorithm we should use. The best post-quantum algorithms that exist today will probably not be the best ones in 10 years. Math, cryptography, science advances. Lock yourself into one scheme today, even if it seems like the best, could set up for more problems in the future. So you're probably wondering what my personal opinion and stance is on the viability and timeline of a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, and I will just say I don't really have one. I know it might be hard to believe, as much as I've looked at this and researched it and talked to experts, but I am actually pretty agnostic. So I feel pretty unbiased talking about this at the moment. I'll let you know if my opinion changes.
We are CleanSpark, America's Bitcoin miner, a publicly traded company with the largest operating hash rate, powered entirely by self-operated infrastructure across 4 states. This is our proof of work, and we are setting the standard for what's next. Learn more about the intersection of energy and Bitcoin at CleanSpark.com.
But my opinion doesn't really matter here. It's more about optics, in particular optics of Bitcoiners appearing like they have a plan, specifically Bitcoin developers. And this gets into the second controversial part of quantum computers. So we have a genuine disagreement between credible technologists, but we have a third perspective on this. And it doesn't come from the devs, it comes from the money side, from the people who write the checks, the investors in Bitcoin. As much as you think that it's just about the plebs and the developers, the investors are the ones who keep Bitcoin's price what it is. So finally, I'm going to introduce a character, Nic Carter. Nic Carter is kind of the person who kicked off this recent quantum debate last fall. He's a general partner at Castle Island Ventures, one of the most prominent Bitcoin-focused investment firms. And Castle Island is also an investor in Alex Pruden's company, Project 11. So Nic's got a horse in this race. He's got a financial stake. But you know that Nic cares about Bitcoin. He's been here many years, and he's written a lot about it for the betterment of the ecosystem. Nic makes an argument which isn't just about quantum, but a critique of the response of leading Bitcoin developers and their approach and attitude towards quantum concerns. So Bitcoin itself is what we call an anarchic system. It's a bunch of different people coming together into the consensus that is Bitcoin. But everybody runs code, and the majority of that code is written, frankly, by a handful of people, or a few handfuls of people. It's a really small group of folks who are the experts on Bitcoin because it's very, very deep and technical. There's a lot of obscure stuff. And the leading project and community effort around this is called Bitcoin Core. It's the primary software that powers the Bitcoin ecosystem. What Bitcoin Core is, how it fits into the picture, is worth 200 podcasts. Nic makes an accusation, though, that Bitcoin Core developers, these are the leaders and the de facto hegemon of Bitcoin developers. He says that they are not concerned with quantum, both because they're not as familiar with the current advancements, like Alex makes the argument for, but also because they don't have a sense of urgency. And there's a very insular thinking. This is his claim, and some others. So regardless of whether Nic's accusations are warranted or not, there is the reality that he is one of the more prominent investors in Bitcoin, and he represents a mindset a lot of investors may be coming to. I asked him if these developers were to, as he claims, stonewall quantum proposals for another 2 or 3 years, while quantum computing keeps advancing, what does that signal to the market about Bitcoin's ability to adapt to existential threats? He said, you can guess at my answer, bad. Bitcoin trades down until they can announce a roadmap. I've voiced my own skepticisms about if investors really are selling Bitcoin because of quantum fears. I say, I don't think that's happening right now. He disagrees with me. I asked him, when you talk to institutional allocators, family offices, is quantum risk on their radar? And what happens if this conviction doesn't get addressed? Nic says they have their position, or maybe eliminate it entirely. No point in having a catastrophic hedge asset if it itself is exposed to a massive, unaddressed left tail risk. Nic actually makes a point which is counter to Brandon's earlier about being too hasty for adding a post-quantum signature scheme. Nic says that if we're not hasty enough and a quantum computer emerges before we're ready, that too could be a huge problem. Hey, Charlie here. Guess what? We just announced our next Bitcoin technical conference, unaddressed.
That's right, y'all. unaddressed is back for 2026. We're running it back after a successful event at Strategies HQ in Tysons, Virginia last year. And this year, we are bringing it to the Big Apple at the iconic Times Center in Midtown Manhattan.
We're hosting the big names and projects that you recognize, like Robin Linus of BitVM,
Nick Jonas of Blockstream, Antoine Poinceau of Chaincode Labs, and Calais of BitChat will also be present.
And this isn't just for the devs. We have institutions talking with the developers. That's what unaddressed is all about. We have Robert Mitchnick, head of digital assets for BlackRock, in the building. We've got folks from mining pools, investor funds, Bitcoin startups, and other groups.
With a ticket, of course, you'll get access to all the high-signal programming and networking you could want. You'll also get coffee, catered lunch, and access to the after-party at PubKey. If you want to go VIP, you'll also get access to the speaker dinner following the event and an investor brunch on Friday.
Tickets are capped at 300, and early bird tickets are already sold out. If you want to save yourself a spot, go to opnext.dev. That is opnext.dev. Use code PODCAST to save 20% off a GA ticket to the event.
Ticket prices go up every few weeks, so don't wait, y'all. Lock in that ticket today.
We'll see you April 16th at the Times Center in New York City. So whether Nic is right about the institutional response to the perception of developers being on the ball or not is less important. It's very much an optics thing. Is the outside world getting the message that Bitcoin developers are attentive to this? Guillaume, or Gigi, at UTXO Management, a Bitcoin-focused fund, pushes back against Nic.
Developers are not underreacting to quantum. We have proposals being actively evaluated right now. And if you ask the authors of those proposals addressing the quantum threat directly, they will tell you themselves that they have received overwhelmingly positive feedback and help from the community, from the Bitcoin developers.
And Brandon Black goes further.
So I would say, if anything, they're overreacting to the quantum threat.
So which is it? Are the devs in denial? Are devs doing exactly what they should? Are they actually overreacting to quantum? There is both a technical disagreement and a subjective social disagreement happening. These are just two of many disagreements that are always happening in Bitcoin. But Brandon isn't against the research for quantum. In fact, he often participates in this and really likes talking about quantum computers.
I'm really not against what they're doing at all, because there are other threats to Bitcoin's cryptography that could come. A weakness in the SECP 256K1 curve could be found. That means we need a new algorithm, even if quantum never happens. So while I think there's probably some overreaction happening right now among Bitcoin developers in focusing on post-quantum signature algorithms, as much as they are, it's good that we have those in our back pocket in case something else breaks Bitcoin's cryptography.
In other words, research is very good insurance against a quantum threat, even if it's a non-event. Having a clear plan and everybody in agreement about this and post-quantum cryptographic schemes ready to add in if it appears that it's going to happen is kind of like having a fire extinguisher. Nic Carter, however, has been sounding the alarms about the opposite problem. He profiled public positions of about 50 of the leading developers, the ones who have the most soft power in this decentralized anarchic system that we call Bitcoin. He calls many of these people gatekeepers, and he makes pretty good arguments for this. He says that there are people who have to sign on to this, and that those people are not convinced. Of the handful of developers who are impactful, very few have real social influence. He says family offices and endowments which own Bitcoin as a tail risk hedge may start asking, what's the point of owning this risk asset if it has its own unaddressed existential risk? Gigi at UTXO says this is just how Bitcoin works. It's really slow and it can be very arduous to the outside.
So there is no underreaction. As always, I understand the fatigue that people can have with Bitcoin development because it's very slow, but it's designed that way for a purpose, and that will serve us well in the future.
I've barely scratched the surface of these arguments, and I haven't even addressed several of them. That's because it's too long and it's too fluid of a situation for me to even capture right now. This is really just an introduction to the various perspectives that are out there on the current quantum topics. It's spicy, it's controversial. I absolutely know for a fact that I will anger both sides here. That's actually not even my goal. My goal isn't actually to be some middleman here or to fall somewhere in the middle. I'm trying to describe the arguments for you. These will evolve. This episode will probably be irrelevant a year from now. But for now, I hope you like and subscribe, and I hope you share this episode. This is episode 3 of a series from us at Blockspace. I recommend, if you haven't already, go back and listen to the first 2. They're in the preceding weeks to this in January of 2026, and you should go back and listen to them. Thanks. Give me your feedback. Hey, this is Charlie and Colin from Blockspace Media, and you're listening to the Blockspace Podcast, a show about emerging tech in Bitcoin, AI, energy, and markets.
We publish 2 interviews weekly with CEOs, investors, analysts, and anyone else of consequence within these spaces. Plus, we have a weekly news roundup for all the important stories you might have missed from that week. The show is perfect for retail and institutional investors, analysts, and really anyone who wants to keep their finger on the pulse of the stories that are moving Bitcoin, energy, and data markets.
So if you've stumbled across us, make sure to search Blockspace wherever you get your podcasts. And on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, give us a rating. We produce bonus podcasts and other content on our main feed, so you don't want to miss that.
And if you have any feedback or comments to give us, or shows that you would like to see and topics you would like us to cover, hit us up at hello@blockspace.media.